guys?
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Where did we leave off?
So, writer compared this to the 80s, like kids coming of age movies.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was approaching this like almost like an Amblin film from back then. You know, I wanted to make something for. I've got a really young son, and to be quite honest with you, this movie is directed straight at him. Like, in my view, like it's made for my boy when he's old enough to watch this. And really, yes, he's right. I think those are the movies that had such a huge influence on me. I'm a child of the 80s, so that's when I grew up, and so like the Goonies and stuff like that. Those are the things that I came up with, But also, I still think to this day that the Donner Superman film is the best superhero movie ever made, And so, like, to me, I wanted to make something that was akin to that. That had that sort of aspirational quality, that soaring sort of feel that I felt the Donner Superman film has, and that I feel that a lot of the superhero films that we see nowadays don't have, So that's what I was trying to do here.
You should accomplish that.
Thank you. Hi.
Attached to so many great innovation projects such as Beware the Batman, the Justice, the Justice League, whether you're involved in Star Wars. How involved is writing a project like that?
Yeah, no. For my part, I'm involved in all of it. Like I see it through from story development, script to design, and final animation, sound mix, everything. I'm the guy I'm the last man standing on the production when everybody has gone. So I do spend a lot more time with these things than anyone else here. So yeah, I'm very involved in all of it, and particularly for this one, it's an idea that I had to do this. Obviously, I didn't come up with Super Sons, but based on the comic book stuff. That I started thinking about this years ago, like many years ago, and then I think I told Jeremy about it at some point. Like, dude, this is what we need to do, something like this. And we've worked on a lot of stuff together. We talk a lot, and it was just kind of an informal conversation like that. These things, and then over the years, as we were working on Mortal Kombat or whatever, like we would talk about this and come up with story scenarios and the whole thing, and then the opportunity presented itself at a certain point to throw it out there into the universe, and they were like, yeah, go for it, and here we are.
Do you feel that today we talk about things being very cynical and very kind of polarized? Do you feel that the message in your film that you were trying to direct at your son is one that can be reproduced in other projects along the lines of Super Sons? Like, would you want to see either a sequel or spreading out between maybe the Titans or the younger generation of heroes coming in?
I think, in my mind, this film and my intent was to open up a world of possibilities. I mean, for me, I would love to continue to make Super Sons movies for as long as they'll let me. I mean, certainly Jeremy and I have ideas about where this would go. But yeah, I do think it's important to make stuff for to make stuff that has some sort of moral for little kids. This is PG-13, but come on, let's be honest. Like, we were watching PG-13 movies when we were 10, right? Or 8 or 5. You know what? Temple of Doom, dude, ripped the heart out. So that's But yeah, I think it's a responsibility to make this stuff, because I felt there's a hole right now in entertainment that's kind of what I was trying to fill.
Thank you.
So you got to forgive me on this, but like I hear the word produce and I'm like, okay, what does that mean in this project, right?
Yeah, I know.
What exactly, like,
What did you do
in this movie? Like, what is your role in this movie, and
Yeah.
what did you bring personally to the film?
So, like I said, I came up with the concept of it. I shared the story ideas initially with Jeremy, and then what typically happens at that point is once I've convinced the executives at Warner Brothers to let me do this film, then Jeremy works on the script, and I give him a bunch of notes on it, and it continues from there. We bring Matt in, and he's the director, and he works with the story team to develop the storyboards and stuff like that. And at a certain point, when he feels that, or when schedule dictates that he show them to me, then that comes in front of me, and we'll sit in an edit, and I'll make notes and revisions and changes and whatever needs to happen on the storyboard front. Meanwhile, while that's going on, I'm overseeing the design team, so I'm working with the background designers, or in this case, the CG. So we had a mix, more. Everybody was kind of doing everything, so it's a little different and traditional. We have like that guy's a prop designer, that guy's a background designer, that guy's a background painter. We had artists that were doing a little bit of everything, and so then I'm just working with the artists to solidify the style and oversee character design and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what it's pretty busy. And then at the end of it, I oversee the music. I work with the composer to get that sound and figure out how that's all going to be scored. And then I sit in with the mix house at the very end to make sure it sounds good.
So you're everybody's boss on this project, like
yeah.
I'm going to ask you about the voice cast. Why the Jacks? Why they were the right?
You know what? We didn't set out to be like, yeah, they both have to be named Jack. It just sort of happened. And I mean, like, that we could get Jack, Dylan Grazer, was awesome, especially what he's done. But I mean, both these guys, we did some auditions, but it became clear very early on that oh yeah, these are the guys. Even though they weren't, because we were doing the records during COVID, right? So we weren't in the studio. Nobody was in the studio. We were recording from a closet or whatever in somebody's house, and we were very separate. But those guys had a chemistry together, and then Travis and Laura for Superman and Lois, it's well, they're married, they have a kid, that's gonna work. So yeah, it was pretty I don't know, it worked out well. It's a great cast.
Real quick, agree with your views of Superman the movie, but also in the cynical world of the 21st century, yes, they've heard this question before, what is Superman's role in it, and how his fatherhood changed Superman?
How has fatherhood changed Superman? Well, I think when you become a father, you have to learn. You have to teach, but you're also learning, right? So I mean, the whole thing for Superman in this is that he's got a responsibility. He has to do his job, but he has to be there for his family too. He has to figure out a way to make that happen, right? To be able to provide for his family. When we say provide for his family, I mean basically save the world over and over again, right? And then do what a father needs to do, which is be there on your kid's birthday. I think that was the interesting question for how does Superman respond in this scenario. But then it's also about him imparting some wisdom on his kid as well, which is obviously, if you watch the movie, there's the element of self-sacrifice at the end, and then when once the day is saved and they're reunited, he tells his son that's what a man's supposed to do. He saves the day, he sacrifices himself for the ones that he loves, basically. So that it's a little bit, it's learning and it's teaching, and that's I think what it is to be a parent.
He's going to probably nail this.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'm done. Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Good luck with the film.